I am Olugbenga Ajala and I am OnPeople.
Welcome to another episode of OnPeople, a podcast on people at work. Here we dive into stories, insights, and learnings from the forefront of Africa's work scene. My name is Tone, and I am back here with my co-hosts, Anima.
Hi guys, today's guest is a seasoned legal practitioner and dispute resolution expert with in-depth experience across litigation, arbitration, and commercial advisory. He's a managing partner at Wiseview Legal Consultancy and a member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, with a career that spans complex commercial disputes, regulatory matters, and alternative dispute resolution across Nigeria's evolving legal landscape. He is known for his thoughtful analysis and practical approach to law. He regularly shares insights on landmark judicial decisions, equity, and the role of arbitration in strengthening access to justice. Beyond practice, he's passionate about mentorship, professional development, and shaping the future of dispute resolution in Africa. In this episode of OnPeople, we explore Gbenga's journey into law, the growing relevance of arbitration, and what leadership and people management look like within the high-pressure legal practitioner on this podcast. Please join us. Welcome, Olugbenga Ajala.
Awesome. Welcome, Gbenga.
Thank you.
So excited to have you here.
Yes,
very
it's a privilege
excited.
to be on the podcast.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing that you're our first legal practitioner, we're going to sort of grill you a little bit.
That's okay.
And, we look to see what exciting insights we can get. I mean, in previous recordings, we've had people who said, they've had some encounters with the legal practice. That's why I'm asking you to defend your profession.
It's okay. I would always be happy to defend in any way I'm able to defend. So,
That's good. So can you tell us if there was ever a time that you questioned your path, your choice in this path?
Well, not till date, not till this moment. I don't think there's been any time where I, for lack of a better word, regretted taking this route. No.
Such a linear path. I like that linear answer.
Okay, so
and reasons being, I sometimes when you sit back and you think, okay, if I wasn't doing law, what would I be doing? I can't imagine doing anything else.
Lucky you.
I don't even know how to trade. I don't know how to do business. Yes, so.
It's amazing. Not everyone is that lucky.
No.
Actually, people go into work having so many interests and chasing so many interests, and then ending up being not a master in one.
And one thing that I would also, support my position is the fact that the legal profession exposes you to different facets of life. So it's almost as though you're encountering every other profession.
Yes, it does.
By way of providing legal advisory or maybe dealing with issues arising out of other professions. So for example, let's take the area of medicine. We've had in the past maybe in the past 2 to 3 years have to start dealing with issues of medical negligence. So it sort of exposes you into that whole world
what goes
of
on
medicine and all. And then I'm thinking, okay, if I wasn't a lawyer, would I have wanted to be a doctor? Since it's also these days, how parents would say, if you're not an accountant, lawyer, medicine, or engineer. So I'm happy being a lawyer always.
Okay, that's so good. Can you just sort of take us into the journey, right? Let us get a deep dive. How did you wind up here?
Interestingly, although my mom says to me, oh, it was when I had an encounter with Femi Falana.
Okay. Interesting.
Maybe in the news. That was when I said I wanted to be a lawyer, but I do not remember that ever happening. And I still don't remember how come I ended up studying law. But what I found is I loved growing up certain subjects.
Okay.
Current affairs in primary school.
Yeah. Okay.
And at the advanced level, secondary school, I loved government.
Makes sense.
So those were subjects that prepared me to study law. Now, whilst in the university, I started off doing the foundation program and then got into a direct entry. And it was, I remember the fun and the social part of my university days much more than the academic. But I didn't do too badly. At least I was able to still come out, graduate with a second class upper.
Okay.
Which in Unilag then was like a first class, because law,
they were very reluctant.
They were very jealous with their first class. Even though now, since we left, they've been giving it out
like what? It seems like water.
You wake up and read after convocation that Unilag graduates 25
for first class. You're like,
wow. Okay, maybe things have changed now. So when I was done, I still wasn't clear on the path that I wanted to go. If it was going to be court dispute that I currently do now, or if it was going to go in-house, or corporate and commercial practice. But law school came, went by, got into NYSC.
Okay.
And but I must quickly chip in here, which I would later build on, is I've always believed in the blessings of people.
Yeah. Okay.
You know how God, how we say, oh, God doesn't come down to bless you, He send people your way. Even all through university days, you had those lecturers that just, took a liking in you, not to just dash marks, but they were interested in your development and progress. So at every point in time, there were those catch-up moments after regular classes, or how are you doing in this, how are you doing in that. So also was my post-law school experience, where my first job was on the recommendation of my current founder, who had said, okay, why don't you go work here? It wasn't a very fantastic experience, but it later prepared me for the journey that I'm currently on now. And why do I say so? Back then, I believed in, just do your work and let's keep it moving. But I later realized that it was not enough for you to do your work and keep it moving. You needed to do your work and let it be seen that your work was getting done. Because for some other people, you would write, for a lawyer, if you write a letter, is the simplest of things that you could do. You needed to do a lot more, to show that you're actually working. So I had colleagues then that would write letters and brandish it. Oh, I take you to 4 people to say, can you take a look? It wasn't a bad idea, but the motive was beyond
just having a proofread
event. Yes. It was actually showing off work, that I was working, but some of us weren't into doing that. So we now looked as though we weren't not working. And we were quick. I say we because for those of us then at 7 at the time, there were about 3 or 4 of us that were like in the doghouse. So we made quick enemies, of some of our supervisors, who then preyed on us. When I mean preyed on us, when you do when you assign tasks, there's a general list that goes round, and then there's the one that comes to you specific. Now, so on the particular occasion, this gentleman omitted my name in the specific one that came to me, but included it in the one that went round. So I missed out on that
assignment.
And then when it got to my boss, then the overall boss, then he was upset that I was abandoning
the
work. And thankfully, someone else spoke for me that that's not the case. This is the specific outline that was shared with this gentleman. And if you take a look at it, his name was omitted from that particular task. And then the man said, "Oh, I see there's something wrong," and tried to. But what all of this did for me was to prepare me for, like I said, this journey that I'm currently on. And also learn how to manage people.
Yes.
Because it learned how to manage people. I was also able to understand the need to allow your work be seen.
And be visible.
So when I went, so at a point in time, I got frustrated and I said I wasn't able to carry on any longer. I came back to my people factor. So I went to my founder and said, I don't think I want to continue here any longer. I think it's the word we now throw around is a toxic environment, and then he was like, oh no, he knows that my boss would not allow me go and I need to continue working there. So I then had to look for a way to allow myself to stop working there. In other words, trying to have me fired as against resigning, since my founder said I couldn't resign. So I went back and played a little bit of politics, and I wasn't fired, but I was able to then resign and came back with the intention that I'll come back to say to my boss, my founder now, that, oh, how about I go somewhere else? I had another law firm in mind. And I guess at that time, that was me being, you almost describe me as a sports brat. It's because
picking and choosing, you have options.
So, and then I got the biggest shock of my life. So when I came back and I told my founder that, oh, I am done here and I'd like to. So in my mind, I thought he was going to ask me what next. As against asking me what next, he just said, okay, so there's a table downstairs. And at the time, this practice was just developing, if you'd ask me, because he had done his time. He had retired at the age of 70, having served meritoriously as a Supreme Court justice. And the energy that I had was sort of too much for
the place
what
at the time.
What the place was at the time. But what I didn't do was to relent. I didn't relent. So I still kept that energy and the fire. And as the time I was coming in, I think I must have been either the most junior or second of about 13 or 14 lawyers.
Wow.
But what I brought was a few things that I learned there. The energy, the vibe, the turnaround in terms of deliverables was what I brought here. So at the beginning of this journey, this current journey where I am today, you had a situation where tasks that should typically take you 45 minutes to an hour, some of my colleagues were turning it in 2 days, 3 days, and it was already the culture.
The norm.
So when I came in and I started turning in my task in 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So I then automatically became the go-to person for my founder. And the way my founder operates is such that whoever your client is, multinationals, CEOs, anybody, he is not the kind of boss or supervisor that would stand in between, takes the instructions, blocks you from such clients. And no, whoever the person is,
you face them
yourself.
Face it yourself. So it gave me that exposure, coupled with that preparedness and the energy that I was coming on board with. And then I just saw myself growing. In the second year, we were already working on things that I would never have imagined getting to in 5 years.
Yes.
Working on expert opinions that took us to giving evidence in appeal courts in the US, in the Royal Courts of Justice in the UK, you know. So, but another thing that I think also helped me was the loyalty factor.
Yes.
You know, I think I can be loyal to a fault.
I was actually going to mention.
You know, I can be loyal to a fault, and I hope I have not deviated from
No.
line. So
it's good.
All of those things, like I said, the energy, what seemed like a toxic environment actually
prepared
me for a non-toxic environment. But the energy that I brought to bear when it came to dealing with responsibilities got me that fast rise. You know, it was not I wouldn't say it was an undeserving rise. You know, some people would say, oh, when did he just come? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? I think I was doing things differently. I was speaking differently. I was dressing differently. I was showing up differently. You know, and like a message that I've started preaching in the last maybe 6 weeks now is that ownership. I didn't even know what I was doing was taking ownership at the time. I didn't know. I was just showing up and doing what I had to do. Not even because of what I was getting paid, because really then, in all honesty, what I was getting paid was only able to sort out my transportation to and from work and nothing else. But along the line, when we started getting on those international gigs and the per diems and everything started coming through, I started making sense. I started doing better, and you know, not long after, I was then able to influence those in my immediate circle, like in the office, you know, to start picking up and all. And then what we then realized is that those that couldn't cope, especially, imagine if I had someone that in terms of years of experience was about 10 or 15 years ahead of me, and saw that automatically things were already, you know, drifting towards this young man's way, and they couldn't fight or quarrel with the founder. So most people started resigning, but I didn't relent. Those that could cope and develop themselves. And all this while, I was also taking courses. I was taking professional courses, arbitration, chartered secretaries and administrators. I was doing the banking and recovery expertise training as well, you know. So just all of these things to prepare myself, you know, for whatever it is that was ahead of me. And I think
fantastic.
That's such a sweet journey.
Yes, I like it. You know, and you had asked earlier, said, am I going out? You've already answered a lot of the questions.
Okay.
So I like the fact that now we can just piggyback off of a few of the things that you've said. So my own question is, how did you meet the founder?
Yes, I had that question as well.
Okay, so I try to hide that story so that it doesn't seem as though it influenced anything.
Yes. No, so, and I know why I'm asking. It's not, I'm not thinking nepotism. No,
of course. But I mean, so what I try to do is understand my story, understand the journey, then analyze it. If I now add anything else to it, you may think, so that doesn't look as though that was. But let me tell you, so the founder, and I think I said this story on Friday when I was making my remarks at the Unilag event.
Yes.
The founder knew my parents when they were like teenagers. They all lived and grew up in the same community in a place called Antony Village
in Lagos. Yes.
And I think my first interaction with him was when I was, you know, doing my registration into Unilag. I mean, clearly before then I had always just heard of him, Justice Oguntade. I was always hearing about him from my folks. But my first interaction was when I had to get him to do a letter of attestation. And in that letter of attestation, they wrote, I have known him from birth. I mean, imagine, I'm the third of I'm the last of 3 kids.
Yes.
So, and if he's known my parents since they were teenagers, automatically
He's known you
he's
from birth.
known me from birth. So that also played a role in how I went through Unilag, because at the time he was writing that letter, I think he was already on the either Court of Appeal or Supreme Court bench. It was a factor that I had to hold on to tightly, that you don't want to say, and I'm sure you understand the importance of letters of attestation, so that anytime you misbehave, that's
They
one
go back
person
to,
you can call.
yes.
So I was like, I don't think I would ever want to do anything that would make the
Them call him
authorities
for the wrong reasons.
Call him.
Yeah.
him. So that also, added to that. And while we were in Unilag, I was always, going to meet him for one thing or the other, as requested by my colleagues in school. Because I haven't become aware that, this person has a relationship with this person. They would ask me, can you invite him for this event, or can he support us for that event? So it drew me a little bit closer. But I was still, when you're, even all through that period, I was in awe. I revered him. I was scared of him. Like if I go to his office, I would barely be able to speak. To communicate. So even coming back to him to say, now we are done, what next? I was still always very jittery and scared, But for him, there were no airs around him. It was just,
So I say that, and I'm very, honored that you shared that with us, because once you started speaking, I said, no, this is not about nepotism.
Yes.
But one of the things that people do not do very well is manage relationships. They sometimes don't know how to convert being acquaintances into something more meaningful. And the meaningful relationship that he had was with your parents, not with you. So you were just coming in, and however you managed that relationship would have made or broken you, so to speak. But the fact that you were able to respectfully go back to him, listen to his views, right? And look up to him, and then have him say, okay, come and start here. Lots of people would have said, no, my energy right now, I'm way past what I am seeing on ground. But you were seeing something, bigger, something into the future. And you were able to convert that relationship into where you are now. So that's why, I've just hit your...
It's okay. That's my scale
your
of justice.
scale of justice. But so that's why I had to ask that. I felt like it was important. So I swapped the question I had for that question.
And I hope I was able to answer.
You were, because I'm sure that if you look at the relationship from when you started, in school to now, that relationship also has changed. Has evolved into different, patterns where it was,
in fact,
sensei and student. Now it's partners. It's
partners, and in fact, almost. If I do say so myself, I think is now. I'll say I'm one of his confidants.
That's amazing.
I'm one of his confidants, and but one thing I usually would say is, we've all at some point in time come across leaders, but this is a leader that did not just lead from the front, he led by the side. When someone holds you, I would say that if I have met five people that I consider powerful, influential today, he probably took me to 6 of them.
Wow. Amazing.
I hope you understand.
That is amazing.
If I've met 5, he took me to 6 of them.
Amazing.
Do you understand? And it wasn't so and you know how it wasn't taking me because he just wanted to take me, or he couldn't take anyone else. I guess I must have also shown or displayed something, because in the legal profession, there is a risk that a lot of leaders try to mitigate against, is exposing your clients, especially the high network ones, to subordinates that may end up abusing, or taking off from your clientele. those particular individuals.
Yes.
You know, or if there's anything like poaching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. That's the word.
But I guess I must have also displayed that's
Trustworthiness.
Yes, beyond trustworthiness, you know, you can. I mean, I'm not saying that we should all remain on a spot in our careers forever, but you know, there's something that you need to show to a superior that would let them know that this person is on this ride for
I can
longer
count on
the long haul.
Yes,
for the long haul. Yeah.
You know? So that's because you'd imagine. I would say we practically took over sometime in 2016 or 2017. Like my partner and I took over from the founder, because everybody that knew of this firm knew of it because of the founder. You know, but we were able to take over and still maintain close to that level that he had placed.
That's amazing.
The firm. You know, and it was because we had shown the like, let me borrow Anima's words, trustworthiness to go the long haul, and we've been able to also maintain the clientele in-house.
Yes.
Not with an intention to want to take them out of the system, because that's a risk a lot of law firms, and that's why you find that they usually act as a go in between. So
I think that speaks a lot to the loyalty that you alluded earlier.
Yes.
You know, and I guess this is how it really plays out. I'm curious to know about the transition period between the old Wiseview into the new Wiseview.
In fact, I think we are still transitioning. But I'm happy that we are no longer where we used to be. It was difficult. I must say it was difficult. It was challenging. We probably made enemies, you know, because the status of my founder enabled him to have us carry a lot of tasks. In fact, recently when we did an assessment of our clientele, we realized that we were probably being kept afloat and in business by 20% of them.
Wow.
Reason being, he was taking on so much pro bono courses, and because that was one of his ways of giving back to the community. You know, it was. I don't even want us to go that. I don't want us to go that route. But coming back to the question, how we were able to, or how it was. So now imagine, like I said, even the space we had all of this space, but it did not reflect who we were. You know, you would see me step out, even the way I look, the way I speak, and then when I invite you to my office to a meeting, you'll be wondering, I'm sure you'd be thinking that, wait, what's going on here? You know, and I feel that also, you know, that I feel there's a way a space affects the people.
Yes. How they reason, how they show up.
Yes. So, you know,
you're making me imagine files everywhere.
Oh, trust me, files everywhere. In fact, there was a time that some of my colleagues used to eat on their desk, on the table. So it was like a change of government when we came in. Not when we came in, but when we got to that leadership or management position.
Phase.
You know, we stopped a lot of things. You know, we then had to constantly do a reorientation. We had a situation then where from the same office, documents would go out and you cannot imagine that they came out from the same office, in terms of use of language, in terms of even the font. You know, you're supposed to have a
uniformity.
Yes, you know, different
brand.
things.
Yes.
You know, and it was just it was like a co-working space, if you allow me to describe it like that.
With everybody doing their own
different things,
you know. So, and we knew we couldn't continue that way. But like I said, one of the reasons why it seemed like that was my founder didn't set out to run a business. I came to that realization early. I don't think he set out to run a business, and that was the foundation that later came to affect every other thing.
Yes.
Because if you set out, for example, you did not have to struggle to get a space. All your facilities, equipment, books, everything were readily available, and all you needed then was a secretary and few lawyers, just because you didn't want to stay at home. That was my that was what I told him. That's what I told him. I said, sir, it's like you didn't want to stay at home. That's why we started this. And then he had now taken up so much that he was personally funding. Whoa. And we did not have to do a lot of branding because he had a name, his reputation. So people were seeking him.
Yes.
As against these days now that we have to put ourselves out there, not advertise, but put ourselves out there for people to become aware that, oh, these people are still existing. Let's see what they can help us with, you know. So imagine where you did not have to do any type of branding, any type. Then emails were being sent with personal emails. Even the office had I think our office email address then was Wiseview You know, so I don't even think we had a website. So a lot of these things had to change. But bringing these changes, in fact, let me tell you another thing. Salaries were paid in envelopes at some point.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. But I'm happy to say it now because
it shows how far
the transition
you have come.
Oh wow.
Salaries were being paid in envelopes, and for those that were there, that were around then, it was not a big deal.
That's what they were used to.
It was okay. But I knew that we could be more than
that.
Than what
it's good to see that you are
at the time, you know. And so what we then had to do was, like I said, continue to do that reorientation, because you could change the physical space, you could open salary accounts, you could do the website, you could do all of these things that we've done now.
But if their mindset
is still the past.
I'll tell you another thing. Even when we started setting up all of these things, you had some people then that came to the lady in charge of finance and admin to say, oh, I'm sorry that it's stressful for me to go into the bank. I still want to be receiving my, and I was like, hell no, not in this place. I'm telling you, yes, but it's unfortunate. I must tell you, it's unfortunate that that's what is obtainable in a lot of law firms. Yes, trust me. Even till date.
Yes, I'm aware.
Yes, a lot of law firms, and that's why I mean we have continued to strive to ensure that change from the old Wiseview to the new Wiseview stays for good. Because it's very easy to sleep
and go back
to because that it would seem more comfortable. It is not,
but it's what they know. It's status quo for them at the time.
So yes, so like I said, and I also found worthy cooperation in my partner.
Okay.
You know, it's one thing she's much older, but it's one thing to have a dream, a desire. Is another thing to find support
for your vision,
because I'm more involved in the technical, the heavy lifting part of Wiseview when it comes to legal strategies, like the core of what we do. But when it now has to do with admin, finance, HR, that's what she does. So imagine I am on the field doing all of these technical bits, and she's not there to provide that support. I will still always come back to the problems. So that's another.
That's it.
Yes,
that's it. And building and
building and
choosing. Choosing the right people to go into that building journey with you. I was very interested in culture.
Yes.
And I know that you've touched on the fact that the phase is still ongoing.
Yes.
But at the start of that phase, what were and I know that you mentioned that some people resigned.
Oh yes.
What were the hard things, the hard behavioral mindset that you had to change? Was it just that one, Benga is younger? Benga, where is he coming from? This is how
What does he know?
justice has handled things before. What does he know? Or was it a case of maybe this new era, we can't cope with this new era, so it's good for us to go and find the old era somewhere else? What was that? How did you work with changing the behavior and the mindset at the time? And it's okay, I need to know that some people couldn't cope.
What I think we did was to paint pictures of what and how we could all benefit from a different type of Wiseview.
A different
Now,
type of Wiseview.
some people could, I can sit here now and say something fictional, and just looking at me, you can already draw up that image
and dream
and see yourself in that space. A few people were able to be
catch on.
convinced
Yes.
in that in those circumstances. While, and another thing is, some people also benefited from how Wiseview ran.
Existed.
There's always this
group
have
of
a few
people.
people.
Yeah.
In fact, I think a lot more people benefited from
Of course.
Status quo.
status quo. So now having to let them know that it will still be gains, but let's do it
But things are going to be different.
differently. We're able to succeed, dragging maybe one or two people along the way. I think they were able to stay on for another 1 or 2 years, and later on, bam,
Couldn't cope.
you couldn't cope. But another thing we were then able to push was the issue of welfare. Whether white collar, whether domestic, whatever it is, however you describe your colleagues or staff,
Yes.
welfare, or their welfare needs to be, they need to see that this person is conscious and considerate of their welfare.
Yeah.
Because when you take care of, like they say, the fastest way to a man's heart is his
Through his
stomach.
belly.
Is his belly. And what does that denote? It connotes that if you've taken good care of
them.
me, every other thing would
Fall into place.
Everything will fall into place. I wouldn't say that we are the best at it, but little things that were introduced to display that we were considerate about the welfare of our colleagues and staff. Then I'm always proud to say I don't have any record since we took over of one lawyer that left Wiseview to work in another law firm.
So they're unable to poach your people.
It's either in fact, we had a year when about 4 lawyers left and jackpot.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's not a case where we are losing a lawyer in Nigeria to another law firm in Nigeria. It's okay, because what they would claim is taking them out of the country is probably what everybody else is dealing with.
Yeah.
Basic amenities, issues of water, security, electricity, and all of those things. So they would rather go elsewhere. So we were big on welfare, because if I understand that, yes, the reasons why you may be misbehaving or doing certain things that you're not supposed to be doing is because of insecurity, financial insecurity. Okay, what are the immediate challenges? How are we able to work with you on this? Because if we sort that out, maybe not 100%, even if we do 75 or 80%, at least we can then have we can then win over your value system.
Yes.
Because the reason why value systems are broken is because people are trying to make quick gains at the expense of what is right.
Yeah.
So we also had to do a lot of those things. There was a time when someone in this office, in the old Wiseview, in the old Wiseview, was arrested, a lawyer.
Oh wow.
And why? He had misrepresented to them, on certain things, and all of these things that he was doing it on the side.
Oh.
But when they came to pounce on him, they came to pounce on him in the office.
In the office.
You know, so this is one of the things.
Such embarrassment.
You know, it was big embarrassment, and maybe, and in fact, my founder was always open to people bringing in work and getting some form of compensation
for it,
even if you don't work on the assignment. You know, and so I don't think it was a case of not being sure that you get any incentives or compensation.
So but he just
it was just greed. You know, it was just greed. But now what we've now done is to include that in a policy document that if you bring in this work, even though you don't work on it, would allow you, you know, this amount of this rate in terms of percentage to go with, and also we've seen that a few people have been able to
convert or bring that.
Yes. So like I said, it's still work in progress.
It is.
Wiseview is still evolving. We are not where we think we should be, but thankfully we are not where
we used to be.
Yes. I like that. It's so it's interesting to hear that, because I remember when I moved back, one of the things that people used to talk about was pay that lawyers, you know, were given or got.
Even until very recent podcasts,
you know, and
recordings,
and the pay wasn't anything to write home about. And so I always wondered, for a profession that all our parents were either fighting for, you know, it was one of the top 5 or top 4. I always wondered why they were not paid. Why was a profession that people were not paid so well in majority of the law firms, not all. I always wondered why. It just felt so.
Honestly, I don't think I even also have an answer to that question, because it's we are in the same boat when we consider that concern and frustration. You know, there's no way to there's no argument that can win that.
Thank you.
It's unfortunate that we still have about 60% of law firms paying,
like that.
And the challenge now is you are unable to the Nigerian Bar Association as a group
body
has tried to advance this course, and you know, but it's almost difficult because these are contractual issues. Now you can put in place regulations to say this is minimum standard, this is what you should pay
at different levels.
There's some law firms even with senior advocates that have maybe just 2 staff, you know, and it's not meant to be the case. So if NBA says I shouldn't pay below this amount, and I choose not to, I'll keep whoever it is I already have on board, pay them what I can pay them, and then just work with those, you know. And like I said, I do not understand it. There is no reason for that. But what I would just add from recent experience, and I'm sure you guys would have also noticed it, is lawyers have become unemployable. It's sad. Lawyers have become unemployable. And why do I say so? There are certain things that shouldn't be heard of from lawyers. Things as simple as use of English. I have a friend, an older friend that I usually call mentor, Dele Oladujoye. Dele will say to me that, Benga, I can even tolerate you not understanding law. We can both research and read both English. The client you are dealing with already even understands English. What you're bringing to the table, or what you're meant to bring to the table, is that your technical expertise as a lawyer. Now imagine if the client is the one having to correct
your English.
But that's what we find. That's what we find. You know, that's what we find these days. So now imagine where NBA on one hand is advocating for, like I said, I'm just trying to imagine what may be going through the minds of a few people. NBA on one hand is trying to advocate for higher pay and all. And those that you're advocating to be paid higher are not even showing that they are deserving of that increase.
Yes.
You know? And then you also have the factor that I mentioned where, because we're professionals, I have a right where I have not signed anything to the contrary to close from work at 5:30 and run my own shop. That is where I have not signed anything contrary. So a lot of some seniors will believe that, why do I want to pay this person? I'm sure it has like PP, it has like private, you know, those kind of things. So yes, so those are some of the factors
issues
that one may consider is the reason, or are the reasons for this pay issues. And I think that there are too many law firms than we need. There was a time I was trying to champion what happened in the financial sector, the mergers.
I was going to say, and all the recapitalization exercises.
There was a time, especially during COVID, where a lot of law firms
started springing up.
Not even started springing up. They couldn't do any work.
They
couldn't do any work because most of them were core litigation firms.
Yeah.
Like
not quite essential services at that time.
They were only going to court. And if you couldn't go to court, what else? I mean, you were sitting at home.
Yeah.
So, and there are too many of us. You find a law firm that has maybe just 3 staff. When I mean 3 staff, the principal, secretary, and 1 person. And they may be doing okay with whatever, I don't want to use any derogative expression, but just making something,
making do.
Whereas you can actually bring together 5 or 6 of those kind of
mushroom law firms
and come up as a formidable one. Where your 100 naira can be 1,000 in 100,000 of
places. Yes.
So.
Yes, well, that would be something to see.
True.
Yes.
But everybody wants to have their own. So
everybody wants to be a boss.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be a boss. Yes.
So seeing how you have woven for us your journey through the rebirth of Wiseview, I think that one thing that stood out for me, just listening to you talk about how you had to sell the vision, of what is possible to the people you had on the team at the time. It makes me want to draw out more insight, because leadership is about first of all being the visionary, then selling that vision and having people follow you on a journey. So do you want to zoom into the details? What vision did you have? How did you sell it? How can somebody who's listening for how to sharpen that skill, what can they do?
So one of the ways so first and foremost, the vision was to in simple terms place us on a pedestal where we can be considered as one of the so we have different tiers of law firms. There's the low, mid, and the high. I would say we're playing somewhere around the mid.
I don't know why you say that is making me think of Laiwasa.
Okay. I say somewhere we're somewhere around the mid. Even though some people would describe us as maybe the tail of high. But we're somewhere around the mid. But even if we're taking a stock of those mid-sized law firms, at least we should rank in maybe top 10 or top 15. That was simply my vision. And how do you get to such ranking? By dedication and client satisfaction. Because as lawyers, we don't work for ourselves, and we cannot judge ourselves. It is how I have served Tom, for example. It's what Tom would
appraise you with.
Appraise me and say to Anima, wow, those guys are,
I'm referring them,
this kind of things. And in line, they all, but beyond, that was the vision. Simply put, I was living the vision. When it comes to dedication to work, client satisfaction, and all of these things, I was not just trying to preach it or I was living it. So for example, now I get to the office to start with. I'm in the office, even till date, I'm in the office before 7 every day.
Wow.
Before 7 a.m. every day, except I'm not in the country or I'm not in Lagos. Now, let's pack that into punctuality. Now, if I'm trying to instill punctuality into
your team,
my team, and I'm saying, no, you need to clock in, you need to get to, and then I'm strolling it to work at 11 a.m.
Not living those values.
I'm not living. So I was living. I was work in action.
Yeah.
When it comes to dedication to work, you would find me burying my head in the books, trying to make sure that what the instructions we've gotten from Tom in how we present it, in how we deal with it I wasn't just going to come to say, team so we have these instructions from Adeton to advise on a labor issue. Okay, look at it in this way, look at it in that way, bam, go and do it. And then we would sit down together. Let's, so that if they see that this leader is not just leading, he's not autocratic.
Yeah.
He's always democratic, he's always maybe permit to use the word communist.
Yeah.
Like we do it together. So it was then easier to drive that vision or to make them see that together this thing is possible. And I say to my colleagues, trust me, and I still said this maybe 2 weeks ago, we've at some point in time faced challenges. It's become cliche for people that are successful to say, I had to do this, I had to do that, like backstory. But trust me, even as young as I am, and I'm not trying to go that route, but I have done, in fact, I say to my team that I don't think anybody has suffered as much as I have suffered. I've only been telling people the fine and very interesting. I wouldn't say I came from a very despicable background, if you allow me to use that description. But we had our challenging moments. We had our moments where we ate white rice and palm oil. There were those moments. Yeah. We had those moments where my mom was out of job, and she tried to do petty trading. And in doing the petty trading, she started getting a lot of stations. Like she was going into, because she used to be in the corporate world, so she used that network to introduce her petty trading. She has sold salad, she has sold Ankara, she has sold bread, take wholesale delivery. So what she used to do then, she would drop in different stations and then get my sisters and I was in Unilag, almost Unilag big boy. I'm serious. She would get us to go and mount those stations. So we already knew. So I one of my beats, or two of my beats, were in Ilupeju, First Bank on Town Planning Way, and GT Bank on First Bank on Industrial Avenue, GT Bank on Town Planning Way. So she would have dropped, and then when I finished my classes on Friday, I think my classes used to be done at about 1:30 or 2 p.m. I'll just get on the next vehicle to Ilupeju, go and sort that out, blah blah blah. When I'm done, drop off my sales and proceeds at home in Anthony, and bam, back to Unilag to go and catch up with the Friday night. So anybody that sees me show up on Friday night would not know what I just has hustled. But what I'm trying to draw out from this is, you find a lot of young people now, I don't know what they are driven by. Yes. To be honest, I don't know what they are driven by. In fact, I had to at some point say, wait, let's even narrow it. Money. Don't you like money? Like, even if that is what would
incentivizes you,
that is the fulfillment you find. Do you like money? If you like money, why don't you just commit to this, vision and to this thing? So coming back, you find that there's that reluctant to jump on or see the vision, because you find someone tell me that, oh, I had to enter bus, it was raining, and then I had to, in fact, the other day I had to call 2 of them into my office and show them how I used to do it then when I was entering bus, starting off as a young lawyer. I would fold my shirt, fold my jacket, put it neatly in my laptop bag. So you have me commute with my inner wear and my pants. So when I get to the office, I bring it up. I might not do it inside the bus, like somewhere around where my shirt, jacket, not my tie. You know, in fact, my gaiters on the shirts can almost cut you, because you would think I literally just left the dry cleaners. You know, so we would always face challenges. Yes. You know, it is how we live through those challenges that determine who we become. You know, so those were also some of the things that one had to do, but pretty much I would sum it up as saying that I lived the vision and made everybody see what could become of us, yes, if we just do
that part,
what we have to do.
Fantastic! Wow, it's amazing, Gbenga. I had mentioned to you just your journey, your life.
Yes.
We can sit on it. We don't have to go into very specific questions. But even as we start to wrap up, I'm just thinking about, how you were talking about the skills that people do not seem to have any, and maybe not anymore, even in the past as lawyers. What's one skill that you feel like law gave you that you now find yourself using outside of work all the time?
I would say public speaking.
Awesome.
If you allow me to go further, beyond public speaking, if confidence can be described as a skill,
it's a skill.
I would also...
It goes hand in hand with public speaking.
Actually, I would say confidence as well. And so those two are the most critical, because it is not all lawyers that may interface with people. There are some that just do advisory, but you wouldn't, whatever you do, no matter the area of law that you practice in, you are not delivering your deliverables to yourself. You're delivering to someone else that may ask you questions, that may engage you on what you've done. That is the beginning of public speaking.
That's one-on-one. That's so good.
Of public speaking, because when you've overcome that ability to communicate on that one-on-one basis, all you just need to do, and I think that was how I developed mine, is now I'm having a one-on-one with Anima. I'm speaking to Anima. I then have to now speak to 50 other people. What I'll just do is that I will pick Anima in the audience and focus on Anima, as if I am speaking to just Anima. And then I marshal my arguments, or I communicate, I deliver my message. Later on, I can then start imagining, just as I'm doing now, that tone is now with Anima. So as I'm looking at Anima, I'm looking at tone
as well.
I'm communicating. Before you know it, I then extend it, and then I'm able to speak, and I'm moving round, So when you're able to do that, you build that confidence. And confidence is something that confidence does. As lawyers, let me tell you a secret. We do not know all the law.
Yeah, of course.
Do you understand? Any lawyer that you come across and tells you, I know
everything.
All the lawyer probably just wants to quickly take your money and then go on. But one thing that we are able to do is to find the law. Now, if you ask me a question of law on this call or on this podcast that I may not be necessarily proficient in, that confidence enables me to engage with you on a peripheral level. But I'd have been able to convince you that this person has something to offer. I will then review that. But Anima, can I come back to you much later on? But imagine you ask me a question on any area of law, and I'm there stuttering, and you would want to be nice and courteous and say, oh yeah, like almost just get along with me. That okay, that's fine. By the time I now come back to you, even if I come back to you with the most beautiful presentation, I probably will not be able to convince you that I know what I'm. So public speaking first, then confidence is what will then come into everything.
Yes, speaking those language, we should do that. Cover it.
And I think another thing that I should also mention, which I learned from my first boss. In fact, I think I should mention his name. His name is Dr. Kemi Pinero, SAN. We're very good friends today. He's a good mentor. He was not part of the drama then. But
good to hear.
He wasn't always on ground to offer that protection, which I mean, as a big man, he had to be everywhere. But one thing he also left me with was presentation. What these days we now describe as branding, but it's simply presentation. How I show up, how I am dressed, how I speak, how I write. All of these things are under presentation.
Yeah.
There are some processes, there are some documents that some lawyers send. Maybe we are to work on the other side on the transaction or even a court case. The moment I see it, and I'm being very honest, I'm unable to go past the first page. I'll just send it to my team. Please, you people, look at it and then come and tell me, because I find it difficult. You are sending me a document, you have not done you did not centralize your...
I mean, maybe it's our generation. Maybe it's us. Maybe it's us. I can't read something that is not justified.
I can't.
I cannot. It will skip me.
I'm even thinking like, how did you send it? Maybe we should look for a way. These tech guys, maybe they should look for a way to. When you want to send something and it's telling you it cannot go because I think we should.
They know. That's what I just had a conversation this morning. I'm like, it's not.
So like I said, presentation is also an important skill.
Yes, it is.
Because there are a lot of brilliant minds out there, first class, these like sharp minds, but they lack
just work
all
skills.
Of these skills. All of these skills. And this is me speaking as there are certain foundational skills, interpersonal, how you relate, because there are certain people that if they get into a place, my cousin used to talk about an old friend that if you put her in China, as they say that China has over 1 billion people. If you put her in China, she can turn the whole of them. She can turn them against themselves. There are those kind of people, interpersonal skills. So, but I would assume that all of those stones are a given. I'm just telling you, watch. These are add-ons.
The add-ons.
Yeah.
These are the add-ons. So yes.
Oh wow. Awesome. I think on that note we're probably going to our agony uncle.
Oh, I wanted to ask him the other one. Something that's not workish.
Okay, please go ahead.
So we've talked about work all day long. Yes. But what is something about you that the people who don't know you at work, right, that they don't know? Did I ask the question properly? Is it clear?
It's not about work.
So verbatim now. Yes. What is something about you that will surprise people who do not know you at work?
I think I can be a socialite to a fault.
From the Unilag days, that would definitely surprise me.
I can be a socialite to a fault. And how do I mean? I love live bands.
I love
live bands.
So, but what? So there's a lady that keeps telling me, because when she sees me, maybe she's only seeing me out of work.
Yes.
In fact, she's my neighbor, so she's only seeing me out of work, and we usually do a lot of social gatherings because there are like 6 families in a compound, all young, all contemporary. So we can just decide this Saturday, house 1 you are hosting. So we'll do, everybody comes out, and when there's music, lawyer is dancing, that kind of thing. So that is all that she knows of me. So sometimes she says that she makes comments and goes, you're an entertainment lawyer, and I look at her and smile. Like, you don't want to experience
the other side.
the other part. So now imagine someone that has seen me in all my work elements.
Yes.
Now seeing me outside of work, that's another. But ultimately, what I would also talk about is the fact that I love God.
Mm-hmm.
I love God and I love worship. I don't think I know how to pray as much as I know how to worship. So sometimes when there's a way our jobs or our work, our profession can portray you.
Yes.
A lot of people say lawyers are liars, lawyers are this, lawyers are that. So typically when you come across a lawyer, you're already suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? But when you see me in the place of worship, I'm sure some people will think that so devil too can worship but those are some of the things that people that see me or that would see me out of work would experience.
That's good.
Yes.
Interesting.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It's giving us a more human face to you. Okay, so one of the things that we do is we have our community send questions.
Okay.
And we try and tailor them based on who we're speaking to. So I'm going to read one out to you. And so in this instance, you are now the agony uncle. So dear agony uncle, I manage a small but high-performing team, and 2 of my strongest performers don't get along. There was a disagreement a while ago, nothing drastic, no shouting, but ever since then, collaboration has quietly broken down. They're still professional. They have meetings that are polite, copy themselves in emails, deadlines are met, but they no longer share information freely. They avoid working together if they can. And sometimes one person will go ahead and make decisions without involving the other. Other team members are now starting to feel uncomfortable and they don't know where they stand. I can sense that morale is slowly dipping. At the same time, these 2 are still delivering results. So I'm a bit worried that if I step in too hard, it might feel controlling or it may cause damage. Cause some damage. So as a manager, how do I address this without taking sides, or most importantly, without making the situation worse?
That's a very, very delicate situation. If I'm faced with such, I would first and foremost try to take it out of the office. Try to do maybe a brunch or just 3 of us. Because for me, I do not believe that there are any issues that are unresolvable.
Yes.
And as long as there's nothing personal, it's not like you dated yourselves. There's those deep where they can't come out from. If that's the case, I'll just 2 of you before you come and take
the whole thing down.
2 of you. I mean, for lack of a better word, bye. That kind of thing. But what I'll try to do is work on rebuilding a bond, because for every team to work together, there must be that bond.
Cohesion, yeah.
Work on rebuilding. It might not be immediately easy, but that will be the first. It will also present an opportunity to understand firsthand what the core issues are.
Mm-hmm.
When I understand, now I'm bringing my lawyer mentality into it. There's something that's similar to what we call mediation.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Then I can have one aside, like caucus. Take one person to. It might not be at that same
day
table,
or same.
but at least let's start the conversation at a very relaxed atmosphere. We go away from there. What I have picked that. So let's say I'm hypothesis, I'm dealing with Tom and Anima now. I've understood. Okay, I've understood where I think Tom needs to make adjustment. I would not want to say it in front of Anima just so that it doesn't give Anima the yes.
Especially
saying vice versa. Then I deal with it individually, and then have like another come together again. Pack all of these steps in one corner. I'll then also try to have a conversation with the team. Let them understand that it is actually okay and normal for there to be frictions. Do you understand? But they should not take sides or get into the frictions. Because at the end of the day, what you'll find is that your leaders will come back together, and then you followers, you probably will not be able to. And then gradually. But if ultimately these steps that I have highlighted does not work, then I'm not sure. Just so that to avoid collateral damage to the team, then we may have to start having conversations around, what should happen eventually.
What's the future of them in that team?
Yes, in that team, And if there's an opportunity to have them work in different teams, maybe take one out to another team, or in fact take both out too, so that it doesn't look like you removed me for this, because it should then affect the output in that new team. So just change them into the
into the system.
That's really the situation. I hope I've been able to give an insight on one of the ways to deal with such an issue. That kind of issue. There's no hard answer. Yes, you just need to keep trying and piecing one or two together to see if it comes out as a whole.
Thank you. I think that was very useful and valuable for our community. Can't wait to have you out there for them.
Thank you. I hope I've been able to communicate and share the 2 cents that I think I know.
More than 2 cents.
Because sometimes when you speak and you're not listening, you're not hearing yourself, you're not sure if you've been able to
pass on
what you intended to.
Definitely. Yes. We had to even move things around. That's how much you're already hitting.
Exactly.
We had. So.
Thank you, and I'm glad I was able to. And thank you for finding me worthy to be on your community. When I became aware of this and I had to go and check it out, I said, okay, fine.
Actually, awesome.
That's so good.
Yeah. But you're doing a good work, because messages. Like Tom pointed out, like I've now become a bit more active.
Yes, you have on LinkedIn.
Just communicating a lot of things that. But my problem is I hope people read.
They do. And even people don't read, they see. And what happens? You stay top of mind. They may not read, but they acknowledge that.
So because we need to keep putting words out, messages out, just like you guys are doing now. It's important in any little way we can. Help the future. And the future can be our future, it can be the younger future, it can be the future of the older ones. That's where we'll come up with learn, relearn, unlearn, all these things. Because the way people do things or used to do things may be different now, so we need to also communicate. So thank you very much.
We're not done.
So we have a rapid fire question. You're going to tell us about one book, one song, and one movie that you really like and why.
That's
can be from the past, it can be of all time, doesn't have to be new.
I think I like 48 Laws of Power.
As a book.
That's a good book.
Yes.
A song. That one is hard though. It has to be. It doesn't have, and I'm not trying to be spiritual.
It can be any song, whatever.
In recent times, the song that has remained constant as a favorite is, it's Joy in Chaos.
Yeah.
Joy in Chaos. because there would always be chaos.
Yeah.
There would always be chaos. Even when the going is good, there might just be a little. On the United, there was chaos last week. We're trying to make a payment, and just Friday after the Unilag event, because I had stayed up till 2 a.m. I came back to the office, had meetings, so there were some approvals, payments that needed to go out. So I was sleepy when I did it. Wow. So I then added more than the zeros that I was supposed to add to it. I know, especially when you're sending to a corporate, it was payment for HMO.
Oh my goodness.
The money that just went in a split second, it may take them 6 months
to bring it back.
To bring it back. So that was chaos, but I still had joy.
Joy and peace.
You too. So knowing that it will be sorted.
But it will be sorted.
And then movie. Because I'm not a very good because I usually sleep off. I can watch a 2-hour movie for 3 weeks.
Oh my
I watch 10 minutes, pause, come back to it 3 days later. You know, but I'm trying to remember now. Maybe I'll say 2 Popes.
Oh, right. So it was
Popes.
on Netflix, yes.
Yes, 2 Popes. That's one I can remember, because you would imagine all the movies I would have watched all my life. So, but the most recent, 2 Popes, yes.
So 2 Popes, Joy and Chaos, and 48 Laws of Power.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Wenga. We're so excited to have had you on OnPeople. Thank you for joining us today.
It's been fun on People.
Yes, you got it. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of OnPeople. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with Olugbenga Ajala as much as we did. Don't forget to subscribe and listen on your favorite podcast platforms. To keep the conversation going, drop comments and questions on all our social media handles. Until next time, bye for now.